We are back. 2 minutes past the top of the hour with OT, wise man, the early bird, Lil Ollie right now. He's learning how to produce now. He's with our executive producer. But she has been one of our contributors, man, for quite some time now, especially not only with legislative updates, but what's going on with the Louisiana legislature, a lot of policy initiatives. And she is back, Representative Mandie Landry. Welcome back. You've been busy.
I've been busy. Good morning. I haven't seen you in a while. You look great.
Yeah,
nice to meet you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So a big session finally over a couple of weeks or so, 2 weeks or so ago.
You know, having money in this state causes more problems.
Right.
And we had money this year, and there was a lot of...
Y'all had a 30-minute a budget adopted at the last minute, the last 30 seconds
literally
of the
like
official
2
legislature?
minutes. And I got to say, for everyone listening, Democrats, and in particular New Orleans, we just sat there very quietly and had our money in the budget and let the rest of them fight.
Right.
We got ourselves taken care of down here. Orleans taken care of. Yep.
So what was, first of all, for folk who may not know, and like I said earlier, you've been one of our contributors now for quite some time. Whenever there's information to share, first of all, and thank you for that.
Of course.
So I want to ask you this question. So why has it been important for you, especially with this little black radio station, I think the oldest in the state right now, and the only really, when you talk about radio, owned black media, why has it been important for you to have a relationship with Equity Media and WBOK, and you've consistently been available? Every elected official doesn't do that.
It's my job. I live in this city. You know, everyone deserves to know what's going on. Communication, we get information from so many sources these days, and you know, my district is majority minority right now, and this city is, and everyone needs to know what's going on in their government. How are you going to influence your elected officials or get them to listen to you if you don't even know what's going on? So I think this is part of the job.
Yeah, and you know, with that flurry of activity near the end,
Flurry,
Chaos.
Not completely unheard of, but to have the impact, such as the governor restored, and thank goodness we have that line item or a process. Talk to us about how the governor did what he did to restore the $100 million, not 1 million, but $100 million that was cut almost unknown to anyone, seems like,
right,
except for a few.
and look, this is complicated math. I don't know what $20 billion is. That's the Department of Health budget.
Yes.
And they did cut it by $100 million to put the $100 million into a debt payment somewhere. So it's not like it just disappeared. And I think what the governor was able to do is move some money around from different payments to slow them down, to send that money to the Department of Health. Because as a lot of people know, when you get money from the federal government, like for Medicaid, it's 4 to 1. So if I spend $1 on a patient, the feds give us $4. So it's a great investment, but we got it back.
Wow. Well, I mean, thankful that, because that would have been a crisis for our state.
It would have caused
and for the
cuts.
people of the state.
Yeah, especially they always cut like elderly or children's services because they just forget about them. Yeah.
Now, I know you're involved with a gun safety legislation. Talk to us about that.
As we see gun violence rage across the country, even this weekend.
Yeah, gun violence, there's no one solution. It's poverty, it's homelessness, it's education, it's too many guns. It's what are the kids doing out there? But it's really hard to get anything passed in the country because we're so polarized. But one thing everyone seems to agree on is gun safety. If you have a firearm, you need to know how to use it. You need to lock it up. Gun violence is the number one killer of children because they get a hold of it and they hurt themselves or others. And y'all know in town we have all the teens breaking all the windows. So what this does is it gives a tax credit, a financial incentive for people to buy a gun safe. So your kid Oliver doesn't accidentally get into it, or one of his friends. But really put it in your car. Lock that gun up because the kids are going to steal it.
So how historically the Southern legislators and the Republicans have done such a great job decades ago focusing on state houses. But how is the current Louisiana legislature, when you talk about gun safety and gun laws, where are we now, especially if you look at where they were maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago?
I would say we're slightly holding on compared to the rest of the South. Okay. We have not passed yet what's called concealed carry, when you can just walk around with a gun with I know. I'm seeing the look on your face. It's terrifying.
Right.
Even cops don't like it. Every other southern state has passed it for 4 years in a row. We've defeated it, which says a lot. And then my little bill, it's small, but they all voted for it. And I could see those far right Republicans, they knew I was pulling one over on them.
Right.
But they voted for it. So we are
And
at
explain
this,
what your bill does.
it's a tax credit. So you know, if you have a firearm, especially with a kid at home, or you leave it in your car, please don't leave it in your car. Go to Academy or anywhere and get one. You'll get a $500 tax, up to $500 tax credit for it. So it's a little financial incentive. What I would like to do next year is do the same for classes, so that you know how to use it if you buy one, and that's the start.
Yeah. Wow. So, very important issue. Thank you for your work on that.
You're welcome.
Even closer to home, or as close to home, we've been talking about a lot here on this station with the single room, not single room, single
Right.
STRs, and those issues and how they affect communities, neighborhoods, gentrification. Talk to me about your issue, your work in that area.
Yeah, so that's really a city issue, and it's just gone wild. And
Right.
I mean, what illegal STRs have done in the city, I'm
It's
not sure if we
enforcement
can
at the
undo.
local level.
It's enforcement. They have like 4 or 5 people in that
Right.
office, and they're overworked.
Right.
It's really terrible. But there's this quirk about Louisiana law that cities and parishes can only raise their fines to a certain level. So someone dumps a tire in my neighborhood, I want to fine them $10,000 a tire.
And the inability to seize the vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah.
The tire dumping drives me
Right.
crazy. So right now it's $500. So the city asked me to do this. It was very smart, and with the help of Doc
I did the
Bowie-
local ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I think Councilmember Green might do this, or y'all might do
Yeah.
it. Right now it's $500 per illegal STR, per tire, whatnot, and we doubled it to $1,000. So we're hoping that's gonna, affect some of these people. Doc Bowie was a big help on that. And like I said, I wish it was $10,000 a tire, but that's what the state's gonna let us do this year.
Wow. You think that's really going to make a difference? Because first we got to catch them now. Still.
You
huh?
got to catch them still, but increasing those fines. I mean, $500 is nothing to most of those people, and $1,000. Look, like I said, it should be $10,000, but it's gonna, I think, start if they hire more people.
Well, agents from Wildlife and Fisheries just caught some folk dumping.
Okay.
And so there's been an aggressive movement. If you saw the interview that I did last week with the Secretary of DOTD, talking about how enforcement is the next level step. So
Yeah.
we have to start making examples of people.
Enforcement, and they need to put skin in the game. You want to keep doing this and just paying the fines? All right, your $5,000 became $10,000. Now we're starting to talk about
And you
money.
lost your vehicle.
You lost your, that would be nice.
Yeah, boy.
Well, the ordinance that we, Councilmember Green and I put forward with the city, it was the inability to seize the vehicle. There's so much.
Oh, okay.
There's so much that state law supersedes us when you talk about ownership rights from property to revenue to what you think would be simple policy measures like
Yeah.
that.
I didn't know you had done that with seizing the vehicles. That's great.
And now, would you explain for people like me, so what is the issue in terms of not being able to
Well,
seize
we can't.
vehicles?
It's just some quirky law, man. Which
Because the
says that
feds do it all the time, right? In drug cases and everything.
Absolutely, but we can't. We catch you dumping. We can't take your vehicle. The city attorney basically said we had to leave that part out of it. We raised the fees, the fines.
Okay.
Though we doubled that. We also gave a reward to any citizen that could document catching someone. But the question is, how do we begin to make examples out of folk? How does the legislature also free up New Orleans with some of those constitutional shackles that they have on us?
Yeah.
When you talk about property rights and revenue
That's right,
rights. And Mandie's been working hard in all those areas, but our charter is tied to the state constitution.
Yeah, I mean, our state constitution does not want New Orleans to do anything without extra permission. And we go up and ask every year. I asked for stricter gun laws last year, and they laughed at me. It's rare that they let us do something, but occasionally.
So let's talk about that, right? So, what is it? What kind of pushback do you get especially when you and our New Orleans delegation, right? You say, well, okay, y'all can do what y'all want in the rest of the state, but just let us do what we want within our boundaries. It won't affect y'all. It'll just happen within the boundaries of Orleans Parish. Why would they be opposed to that? Because then they could do what they want in their other 63 parishes.
Control. And they like to beat up on us, and they take our money, And, they forget that we sponsor and host, 17 million people a year here in this city?
It was almost 20 million before COVID.
Jeez.
And right now, the city is breaking every post-COVID projection right now. We're exceeding that. Every event, it shows that we're headed towards even breaking
bigger.
the pre-COVID numbers if we continue the world. It's a tale of two
yeah,
cities.
no.
We complain about the city, but on the flip side, we break from Mardi Gras to Essence Festival to Jazz Fest to Lundi Gras to French Quarter Fest to every event right now is making money, breaking records.
No, not for everyone.
But not
for
for
the state,
everyone.
yeah, they're the
And the
hotel
state is
tax and all
benefiting.
that. Oh, they're benefiting greatly, and we ask for pennies sometimes,
Right.
and they complain. I mean, we needed all this money for sewage and water board. We have enough for this year, I'll just say, but not what we were supposed to get for 1 year. And they look at us like, why do we need to give you money for that? I said, well, you want your 20 million people plus the people who live here to have safe drinking water, and they don't want to let go of their pennies. And I think the rest of the state forgets that without us, this engine would not function.
So how many members do we have of the New Orleans delegation?
Me, Amy, Alonzo. I have to count Matt, Candace, Jason, Delisha. 7 sort of, I would say, full-time, and then there's 3 others who have a little bit of Orleans.
So who are our partners, right? So who do we take our group and put with this group and then put with that group so we could increase our numbers? So,
We have, I think the Orleans delegation does best when it's Jefferson and the Bayou members, and we're talking about water and infrastructure and hurricane protection, and then we're all working together. Jefferson, I wish we worked more with Orleans. I grew up in Jefferson Parish, but they have weird politics over there.
Don't tell nobody.
We all have
Don't-
weird politics, but theirs is weird.
breaking news.
Yeah, right.
We got some weird politics down here. We got a minute before we go to break because man, this property insurance, this insurance stuff. When you're talking about
Oh my God.
breaking folk down from losing homes to affecting businesses, as much as gun violence is a threat, rising costs of property insurance is even a greater threat to family members, homeowners, as well as business people. So we don't want to get into it right now. But when we come back from break, how do we stop these escalating insurance costs that are putting folk out of their homes and out of their business? Representative Mandie Landry, WBOK 1230 a.m.
The station you listen to all day long.
All day long, baby.
Hey, this is Gerard Stevens, your host for the Afternoon Reality Check from 1 to 4 p.m. This is the show where we discuss and try to make some sense of what's going on in the world today.
I just see this as another important data point in their arsenal, in their broader arsenal to show America that they are still in control.
We've got some professionals that can bring some logic to the table.
You're contending that there's an internal logic to his political dynamic and political process that fits a norm.
The conversation is worth listening, and getting involved is crucial.
I mean, there's a whole construct that we're dealing with here that has nothing to do with the way rational people think about politics in America, but a deep sense of discord among a portion of America that feels itself threatened.
The Reality Check on WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning. I'm Deja Brown with WDSU News, and here's a look at your traffic. Still coming in accident-free, no major issues on our North Shore arteries, 36 minutes southbound as you travel along I-55. I-12 looks great between St. Tammany and Tangier Hill parishes, with speeds coming in just under 60 miles per hour at 58 miles per hour. No restrictions or advisories on the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway Bridge as you travel between Mandeville and Metairie. Southbound, a 25-minute ride, 24 minutes as you travel northbound. And consistently about a 50-minute ride as you travel from Slidell down to the CBD, with some patchy congestion from Bullard on your approach to Chef. Things remain quiet along the elevated West Bank Expressway, 8 minutes from Stump over to the I-10 merge, and consistently no major issues as you travel towards the downtown area. That's looking at your traffic on WBOK 1230 AM.
Well, it looks like your Monday is going to bring some partly to mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures this afternoon will be rising into the mid-90s for most of us across southeast Louisiana. Rain chances at about a 30 to 40% chance today. Probably about a 40 to 50% chance of showers and storms in the forecast for your Tuesday. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, well, the temperatures will be in the low to mid-90s. Rain chances right around 60 to 70%. So expect showers and storms just about every day this week. From the WDSU Weather Center, this is WDSU meteorologist Damon Singleton.
The Hellis Foundation John Scott Center at the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities is an interactive hub at the crossroads of art, culture, and social change. With over 6,000 square feet of gallery and meeting space, the center features 51 works of art that explore the South's heritage, culture, and history through the extraordinary lens of local artist, educator, and humanist John T. Scott. Located in downtown New Orleans at 938 Lafayette Street, the center is open Thursday through Saturday, 12 to 6 p.m. Learn more at leh.org.
Hi, I'm Johnny Donaldson, Executive Vice President and Chief Culture Officer of Bank Plus. Did you know that buying a home can be as affordable as renting? More importantly, each monthly mortgage payment builds value in your home. As you pay down your mortgage, your home becomes a personal investment. For most Americans, home ownership is a crucial step in building wealth. Let's talk about your options. Bank Plus Mortgage. We're here to make you feel at home. Get started at bankplus.net. Bank Plus. It's more than a name, it's a promise.
Equal housing lender. Member FDIC.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Good morning. Wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
And we're back. We're back 18 minutes after the hour. Hey, it's a bright, sunshiny day here on the campus of Xavier University, WBOK, 1230 a.m., the station you listen to all day long. Talking with our state representative, Mandie Landry. Wow, a lot has happened, but a lot of people are still afraid of what's going to happen as it relates to property insurance. What was accomplished, if anything, this last session, and what do you think really we need to do to put this issue to rest as such, if possible?
So I'm just going to be brutally honest with all of y'all. It's bad, as everyone knows. Mine went up 40%. I know people who've gone up 200%. It's very bad. With this increasing storms and the bankruptcies of insurance companies in Florida, it's getting worse. I think that what's going to have to happen, and most of us think the federal government's going to have to get involved and subsidize like they do for flood insurance. Our little state can't handle it. But what we did do this year that is going to help, I think, significantly, it's going to take a few years, is a fortified roof program. So Rep. Matt Willard did this from Gentilly. And basically, I don't know the engineering, but a fortified roof, they strap it onto your house, and whatever it's made with, it can withstand a Category 4 hurricane. And most of y'all out there who've made claims, almost all your claims are for the roof.
Yes.
All of it. So you get this put on, and because of Matt's new law, they have to give you a steep discount. They can't just say, here's $50 for your roof. They got to give you a steep discount. So yours should go down or stabilize. And then the more people in the city who have that roof, it's going to lower claims. That's probably the extent of what the state can regulate. Because, private business, if the state says you can't charge more than $1,000 a year for homeowners insurance, well, the private businesses are just going to roll out. So I think get ready to do a roof. It'll be between, what I understand, $12,000 to $16,000, and the state is going to be giving $10,000 grants starting, I think, in October. So plan for that.
So I need to become a roofer.
You need to learn about. You need to learn about this. Like
about
I said,
fortified roofing. Yeah.
They strap it to your house, and it's going to be $10,000 grants. So that's not a loan.
Yes.
They're going to give them out. So that's the most important thing we've done to get your roof. Talking about getting these hurricane-proof roofs, which is going to help your property insurance, and then the federal government.
Is that part of the $45 million subsidy for insurance?
No, that's a different thing. So what you're talking about, the legislature gave, I think it's up to 60.
60.
To get insurance companies to come back and write like they did after Katrina. And of course, they have to stay X amount of years, and they have to write so many policies. This is a new program. They're starting it with 30 that they give $10,000 grants for a fortified roof that will withstand a Category 4 hurricane. And Representative Willard from Gentilly was very instrumental in putting that program together and making sure that we're going to get the discounts on our premiums.
And how successful has the program that OT just mentioned in terms of luring back or making it easier for companies to stay? Have we gotten the bang for our buck, so to speak?
Well,
I know after Katrina,
too.
I know after Katrina, it was a very mixed review of a similar program, but
they've started. I have not seen numbers because the point is they want them to pick up policies from citizens. If we're all on citizens, things are going to be bad next hurricane. So I know they have started. I don't have numbers for you on that, but we started that money in February. It's all been allocated, meaning everyone. There's enough companies that say we're going to do this for you, but I don't think it's been finished yet, especially with hurricane season starting. But it's moving along.
We're talking to Representative Mandie Landry with our legislative update. The insurance costs right now, we can go back to bigger waters with Mary Landry fighting, especially if we're talking about flood insurance and that cost. Do you feel it's not just flood insurance and homeowners insurance? I know Dr. Bowie some time ago met with a group of transportation owners, right, who auto insurance. Said auto insurance in New Orleans Parish is 21% higher than many other parts of the state. Transportation is a growth industry in America. If we can't take advantage of a growth industry, so are we holistically looking at insurance? Have we focused on every aspect of it, especially because it impacts how we live and how we grow?
I think a broader answer with all these issues that I see too are that it's all, we're just always stomped on in Louisiana. Our car insurance is so high and they say, oh, it's because of bad roads and accidents. No, they allow in this state a company to use your credit report. What does my credit report have to do with my driving ability?
Driving record.
Single women pay more than married women. Yes. There's all kinds of things, and they have not. We've tried for several years, and before I got there, to fix some of that.
Orleans Parish
won't
pays
do
more
it.
than St. Tammany Parish.
Yeah, and some of it is roads. You know how many new tires I've gotten in the past few years. That's real.
Tell me about it.
But it's old-fashioned discrimination. We're poor. People don't fight back, and our property taxes. That's something we need to do in this city and look at it over 10 years because only 40% of property in this city pays property taxes. You and I together probably pay 10% of property taxes because Tulane, the church, all 1,000 churches.
Wait a minute. I'm a pastor too.
That's been an argument for years.
You're not the Catholic Church.
I hear you.
The 15% paid for everybody else. So that's been a debate, man, when you're talking about
it's
property.
a big deal.
It has, and who's exempt?
And I think when you look at who the contribution, you have to balance that on the side in terms of with the contribution. But I hear what you're saying. People need to justify and make sure that they are giving that value for that dollar.
I think a fee of sorts because everyone drives on the same roads, uses the drains, calls the cops, calls the fire department. So I think there needs to at least be, this is my opinion, a fee of some sort if you're not paying the property taxes because you're using all the services.
Now, what happened to that issue? And I know there was one issue in New Orleans East in terms of the slumlord, but I know there are other places also. But did that law pass?
The spot in Algiers right now.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be everywhere. August 1st, it's going into law. And sorry, earlier I said Councilmember Green. It was this one I meant. He came up, and then District Attorney Williams' office helped with this, and the District Attorney Association helped with this. Y'all listening know there's these.
I know Jason Hughes was on a point with this, with a lot of these efforts with slum laws.
He had a different bill, but
okay.
We were both working on it from a different angle.
Right.
But there's these horrible apartment buildings. They're all over town, and besides being, they're forcing people to live like dogs.
Right.
They're magnets for crime. Stolen cars, stolen guns, drugs, all kinds of things. Well, right now it's really hard to get them to fix the property because they just pay fines. So what we did is make it, once you don't pay your fine the first time, you can go to jail. Jason's going to put you in jail.
Yeah, but also, look, I was part of the city council that reduced the redemption period from 3 years to 18 months, right?
The taxes.
So in terms of the ability to seize the property. There are places around the country where if you have a record of being, first of all, not non-payment of taxes, been adjudicated, some of y'all, that municipality can seize your property. Yesterday, right? The state protects the rights. Has superseded our ability to say, hey, hold on a second, right? This has not been a good landlord.
Yeah.
Let us take this property, put it into commerce. The state historically has blocked us from doing that. The Senator Wesley Bishop bill that would have just affected Orleans Parish. The rest of the state voted against it, and other legislators prompted their residents to vote against it. It would have been for Orleans Parish.
This is a little different. It came from Orleans Parish, but it's actually going to apply statewide. So right now, y'all know that guy. I'll call him Tosh Gruno, and he has a bad property. The city fines him. Then it goes to CDC, and it goes through all these appeals, and he doesn't pay it. Well, right now, as soon as what I passed, as soon as it goes to CDC, it's going to criminal court.
Bam.
And if he keeps not paying it, Jason keeps putting more and more charges, and guess what? We put it under racketeering.
Come pick you up.
So it's not just one building, all his buildings.
Finally. Let's go to the lines right now. Bill, thank you for holding. Bill, you're on with Rep. Mandie Landry.
Good morning. I'd just like to mention, I don't think that our insurance commissioner is giving you all the information either at the state legislative level or even the people. He was on another radio station a couple weeks ago saying that, oh, yes, we got all this money coming as an incentive. But if you live in Orleans, and actually I'll just give you the history of mine, I went to these other companies and I had them try to insure my house, and they kept on reverting back to Citizens. And I called them back and they said they don't insure Jefferson, New Orleans, or St. Tammany Parish. It's only like northern Louisiana is taking advantage of these incentive programs that the insurance commissioner has been talking about. And I even called him up, and he agreed that, that's right. They won't insure down there. He said they're working on it. But if you live in New Orleans, we're still stuck with Citizens. And, like everybody else, my insurance has gone up 200%. But I just want to bring that piece of information to you.
Thank you, Bill. So Mandie, how do they do that, right? It's when you look at the natural topography of this region, right? Some parts of the city is below sea level, but some parts of East Jefferson are actually lower than parts of Orleans Parish. The Lower Ninth Ward, for example, is that part of it is below, but as you go to the levee, as we move to other, it's actually not as low as people think. So how do they discriminate from one region to the next when there are many areas that are not punished, that are, especially when you talk about the natural topography, they're in worse position than Orleans Parish?
So what the caller was describing, they're not supposed to do that. The companies taking the incentives are supposed to spread the risk everywhere. So if he's still listening, drop a line in my email. You can Google me, and I'm going to see where that is in the process with whoever you've spoken to, because that's kind of the point. You can't just insure someone in Shreveport. You got to come down here and insure everyone, because they're not supposed to. I mean, our friends down the bayou are much, much closer to devastation from a hurricane than we are. We're flood issues. That's what they're supposed to go everywhere. But a lot of these companies, they don't want to write here at all because of the risk. But they also are telling Florida and the Mississippi coast the same thing.
Wow. Time for another break.
Yeah, we're going to go to break, man. Some good stuff. Our legislative update. She's been one of our contributors for quite some time now. We're going to continue to talk about these policy issues, hurricane preparation, and maybe a little breaking news and a little politics with Representative Mandie Landry after the break.
Hey, WBOK, 12:30 a.m. The station you listen to all day long.
All day long, baby.
Sunday Gospel. I am Leo Jackson asking you to tune in every Sunday, 12 noon till 2 p.m. Feel the power of the Holy Spirit moving. Make you want to clap your hands, shout, cry out, glory, hallelujah. Don't miss this program, Sunday Gospel, 12 noon until 2 p.m. every Sunday. Station you listen to all day long.
Come on, let's have a good time. Come on, let's have a good time.
A new voice for New Orleans news. Verite News is a Black-led, nonprofit newsroom led by Pulitzer Prize-winning editor-in-chief Terry Baquet and executive director David Francis. Verite News ensures everyone can access free local news with a focus on the culture of New Orleans, while amplifying the voices of the people of New Orleans. Log on and sign up for our email updates at www.veritenews.org.
New Orleans, a spectacle of sound and color. Curious creatures, weird and wild. Come enjoy the marvel and majesty of the new Audubon Aquarium and the wonder of it all. Experience Audubon Aquarium and Audubon Insectarium, two world-class attractions together in the heart of New Orleans. Get tickets at audubonwonder.com. audubonwonder.com.
At University Medical Center, you'll see the most specialized specialists. For expert treatment when you need it most, you can count on the emergency department at University Medical Center. It's open 24 hours, 7 days a week to care for your every emergency medical need. You can never predict when an emergency will happen, but you can trust that the experts at University Medical Center will be prepared to care for you when they do. Visit umcno.org/emergency to learn more.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go: shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms: irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
We are back, man. We got Ro Brown in the studio, man, of course.
That's right, the Hall of Fame.
God, yeah, man. One of the original, not only just one of the first African-American on-air sportscasters, but one of the best sports minds. Just ask Ro.
Just ask him.
You know,
he
yeah.
knows everything.
Yeah, who walked across the pipe on the Tupelo Canal in 1965? Ro Brown will tell you. Yeah, who ran from Monticello Street to Dubriel in the quickest time in the New Orleans Olympics, man. Ro Brown.
Was that a thing? Was that a thing? The New Orleans Olympics?
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah, Ninth Ward won it every year. Yeah. With the lower
Let
nine,
you tell it. Let you tell it.
Well, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Man, talking about telling
Anyway, I got a
Landry
question for the
is
representative.
Always telling it.
That's
Go
right.
ahead.
So we know, every year there's so many issues that come at you. But what has been your agenda? What are things that you want to push forward? I know you got to deal with what comes to you.
It's your state.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I have 2 things. I want to do as much practical improvement for the city as I can, which includes these bills we talked about for quality of life and money, and push the issue on other things. Because, I'm a Democrat from New Orleans. I have a really supportive district, and I can bring up issues like gun safety that others don't. 3 years in a row, I brought up gun safety bills. I finally got one through in the 3rd year. There's a lot of people, they just want to win and a loss. They want a string of wins, and they wouldn't have taken those 2 losses. And look, I got a big one on the 3rd. So I want the rest of the state, which is very Bible Belt and conservative, to know there's plenty of other people who live here who don't agree with them, and I want to protect the city as much as possible. So it's a constant weighing of issues, but we've been doing pretty well.
Of the calls that you get, or the emails, I know you probably get more emails than calls perhaps nowadays. What are your constituents saying to you in terms of what issues that they are concerned about? What do they want you to move on most?
So my correspondence is almost entirely positive. I don't get hate mail. So many of my colleagues do.
Lucky
I
you.
really don't.
You got a good district.
I do. I got a good district. The city is good. When I hear from constituents, they need help with motor vehicles, with unemployment, with DCFS. But I don't hear a lot of complaints from them. I usually hear "good job, thanks for trying" sort of thing. And when I get the nonsense, it's those like spam emails. Like I got 500 in the last week. People saying come into veto session to override the governor's veto. I'm not going up there unless they force me to. Right. So it's interesting being from down here. It's a good bubble sometimes that I don't have to hear all this nonsense like they do up north.
So let's talk a little, just a tiny tad bit of politics before we get into hurricane preparation. We'll say that for last, especially given where we are now. The chair of the Democratic Party was just here with us, and one of our conversations was about how the Democratic Party has neglected the South. In many cases, the National Party's forgotten us down here.
Yep.
Even with our strong liberal population and our strong African American population, they figured out how to put together a map and just leave us, here to conservative legislators. He's vowed to change that, to start investing more.
Wait, who'd you talk to?
The chair of the
Jamie
DNC.
Harrison? Yeah,
Jamie
okay,
Harrison.
okay, just making sure.
Yeah, the chair of the DNC. Are we going to see that? Or are you guys going to have more access to resources to push the Democratic agenda? Is the South now going to be in play with the National Democratic Party?
I mean, I've only been involved in politics 4 years. I mean, I was always an informed voter and donated and volunteered. I haven't seen it yet, and it's extraordinarily frustrating because what the Republicans did is they built a farm team for 20, 30 years. They got people elected to these.
They invested.
Yeah, well, these little issues, and suddenly they're congressmen. And the Democratic Party just kind of left us for dead. And I saw it, last year when I was running, contacting all these women's groups. I said, not only do you have a pro-choice woman, I used to represent clinics. I know what I'm talking about. Zero, no response. Because they consider us, it's like fourth tier or something. We don't want to spend money on you. I hope the National Democrats are, because it's so bad now. It's super majorities, which mean Democrats, I can't pass a bill without 20 Republicans. That's a tall order sometimes to get anything passed. So I hope he changes it. I hope they come through for Sean Wilson, who's running for governor, because we don't have enough money to do it on our own.
Wow.
Well, now that's, maybe not shocking, but I guess as a person who's not as involved in politics, why don't we? I mean, we have still a whole lot of registered Democrats.
Yeah,
we got
especially given the demographics.
We have a whole lot of the New Orleans Democratic businesses.
Supreme Court they made one good ruling in terms of the redistricting. The congressional race.
The congressional, I was surprised because of the Supreme Court, but our state is 33% black, so we're going to have minority out of 6. Right. But on a ground level, we do have more Democrats and black voters and white voters like me, and it's just depressed like everywhere. It's hard to get people out. Our state Democratic Party doesn't work on voter turnout or registration anymore. It's atrocious. I think the communities, the activists, when you were growing up, just aren't as active. Yeah. But we have the numbers. You're right. Like, we literally have the numbers to turn this around. But you got to go on the ground and talk to people.
So that's something that's fixable, huh? I mean, if you have people power, maybe not need as much money if you got a lot of people, but people have to be motivated.
And money is important.
I know money is important, but people can can do a lot if they feel it.
The education issue. I know there are other folk who have that maybe higher on the agenda, but education, especially educating our kids, ought to be on everyone's agenda. When we look at Louisiana, or when we look at the product of what we're producing, we still lag behind many other states. When you look at the Alice report on the well-being of children, we lag behind Louisiana now. The education model doesn't seem to be working anywhere. What do we do, especially given that if we educate our kids, that's pretty much establishing their future? That's a better foundation from the state. How do we improve? Kids are even opting out of going to school. Public systems are losing numbers all across the state. What do we need to do?
I think there's a few alternatives. So, there's been so much pressure on college in the last few decades. I went to college. Everyone went to college. And it's not quite the payoff it used to be. There needs to be more of a push and more money towards trade schools, because guess what? Those people make a lot more money when you graduate from a trade school than most of us. But I do think a lot of that money in higher ed needs to be shifted down to the little kids, because if they can't read well or know their math well, or just sort of have basic skills by second, third, fourth grade, they're not going to get to college. Right. And if you don't invest more in the front end, how many are going to be in jail later? And we're going to lose them forever. And once you lose them, they're not paying taxes, they're not working, they're not raising their kids. They're just gone.
And let me say, Mandie's, Representative Landry's comments, the ACA, American Corrections Association, actually does a study in early adolescent education to determine whether folk ought to invest in building more jails or invest in private prisons.
Yeah.
So those predictors are there.
That fourth grade reading level and everything.
That's exact correlation.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, with so much going on, we talked about just in politics in general. I mean, what are your thoughts about the chances of Sean Wilson being the first black elected governor in our state?
So the biggest pro for him.
Post-Reconstruction, that's right.
So the biggest
pinchback was appointed, wasn't it? Yeah. But anyway,
that was 1800s, right?
Yeah.
So I think the biggest pro for the chance of him getting elected governor is that Louisiana likes a dark horse in governor's race. Foster, the second time Jindal, John Bell, Romer back in the day. All these people kind of came out of nowhere. They were not the front runners at the beginning. And so I think that helps him. But the con is, he is a black man trying to get elected statewide in Louisiana, but also
in a Trump state.
In a Trump state. But I've never said he's never been elected to office. And that is, it's different. It's a little different to go from never been elected to state representative, from never been elected to governor. And he's going to have to convince people that to give him money. So those are some practical hurdles. But this state is crazy. Huey Long was running the state for a long time. Then we had Edwin Edwards and then the city politics. So I would not count him out.
So let's take a look at the other side, on the Republican side. Jeff Landry still seems to maintain a sizable lead. I know the business community is trying to push Waggis back. Schroeder's been been advertising for quite some time, but none of them have broken into his double-digit lead.
Most of us think, and I'm not an expert on this, but this is kind of my view too, is Jeff Landry, I am not related to him, by the way. I got to say that Jeff Landry is sort of a Trump in Louisiana. They have their base of people that are never going to leave them. The murder on Fifth Avenue, the murder on Bourbon Street, they're never going to leave them. The question becomes, how much can Jeff go up in a runoff? And it depends on who he runs against. So Jeff and Stephen Wagisback in a runoff, I think Wagisback probably wipes the floor with him because he's the normal person. But Jeff Landry and Sean Wilson in a runoff, it becomes more of a race issue, and Jeff's chances go up. So that's why you're seeing all the shenanigans with, Jason Williams maybe getting in, and then Wags getting in, and then this one and the other, because they're trying to calculate who can get into a runoff. But Jeff hasn't gone anywhere. He's been apparently strong-arming sheriffs and all the parish presidents around the state. He's smart politically.
Very.
Wow. We're going to come back after the break.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
It is what it is. Right? We talked about hope.
That's right.
We talked about keeping hope alive, and not just Bob Hope or Jesse Jackson's hope, but real hope. Real hope, as Pastor Sanders says. There's a lot to look forward to. I tell folks, in many cases, and during the darkest times is when you can really see the light. When things are really low is when you have a foundation to go high.
That's right.
And when things sometimes seem like they're too bad, that's when you can do your most good. WBOK 1230 AM, the station we listen to.
All day long. We'll be back after the break.
After.
Good morning, I'm Deja Brown with WDSU News, and here's a look at your traffic. Starting off the morning accident, as well as breakdown free, no major issues reported by Louisiana State Police or any of our other public reporting agencies, and thankfully, no disruptions to your ferry service. Quiet across our North Shore arteries, quiet across the Twin Span, and no major issues along the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway Bridge. 11 minutes eastbound across the Bonnie Carey Spillway, 15 minutes ahead as you travel from Kenner to the downtown area. No major issues on the elevated West Bank Expressway, traffic consistently moving at 65 miles per hour, 8 minutes from Stumpf over to the I-10 merge. 510 looks great in both directions, additional 8 minutes as you travel over to the lower 9th Ward along North Claiborne Avenue, and things looking great in both directions along I-10 between Elysian Fields and the Claiborne flyover. Let's look at your traffic on WBOK 1230 AM.
This is your news update for WBOK 1230 AM from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
I'm Randy Russo with WDSU, and here's what's happening today. On this 3rd of July, several events to mark our nation's independence. The Uncle Sam Jam is happening over at Lafreniere Park with headliners like Bret Michael, Mixed Nuts. The Free Family event opens at 2 p.m. and ends with fireworks at 9:30. City Park is also hosting its Star Spangled Summer celebration featuring the Marine Reserve Band. It starts at 6 near the Peristyle with fireworks at 9. There's also fireworks shows in St. Charles, St. Bernard, and St. Tammany parishes with Light Up the Lake along the Mandeville Lakefront. Meanwhile, 3 people are displaced this morning after a fire broke out at their New Orleans East home. The townhome on Lakeview Court near Dwyer Road caught fire yesterday afternoon, and investigators are still trying to figure out why. It comes as firefighters also battled a fire at a building on South Carrollton earlier in the day. This morning, city leaders in New Orleans are taking a closer look at the Clean Zone Ordinance, which was designed to protect the Essence trademark. It comes as several businesses came under fire during the big tourism weekend, including Baldwin and Company, a bookstore that was hit with a temporary restraining order after being accused of using the Essence trademark without authorization. Attorneys say that Essence has now moved to dismiss that particular store from its lawsuit because the store apologized and stopped the scheduled event from happening. In a statement, the bookstore says it was deeply disappointed to be included in that lawsuit and goes on to call the city's clean zone unconstitutional and that Baldwin and Company had not engaged in any wrongdoing.
If someone asks,
Yeah!
let them know you listen to WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
We are back. Look, just think about it, right? VH1, Little Black Radio Station, them off-air conversations, juicy.
That's right.
Juicy. Mandy, you could be on reality talk show with us, right? If it was live during the breaks. So she said, Mandy said, count her out. But count all of us in this season, man. We can talk about politics all we want, but if Southern Louisiana ain't here, there ain't nothing for us to talk about. Hurricane season preparation. I know you start getting ready. You start getting your district ready, the state. Where are we now?
On an individual level, everyone has to start thinking about it. I mean, I have to start reminding my mom. I have a nephew now. I'm like, where are y'all going?
Right.
What hotels are you going to call? What are you bringing with you? You got his food. He's 11 months old, all this stuff. People forget in the interim with the festivals and Christmas and all, you might have to do it all over again. I think also what everyone saw from 21, either get a generator, know someone who has a generator, or get out of here. Because I don't know about y'all, but I felt like we were on the surface of the sun.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, giving out the water and the ice and all that. But, the generators, the portable ones, my next door neighbor had one. It was so close to both of our houses, I had to leave one night because I was so nervous about it. You have got to know how to use that. It's going to blow up in your house. So all the practical things we have to be thinking about. Make sure the property insurance issue, get your information together before you evacuate or before the storm hits, because everyone remembers how tough it was. And I don't need to tell anyone this, but you need to remind them weekly to get this stuff together.
Well, we're seeing limited activity off the west coast of Africa so far, but the weather patterns are ripe. It's almost like we're in the midst of a heat magnet right now. How concerned are you, given the temperature and given the ingredients and the fact that El Nino, given the right circumstances, could produce the worst storm?
I since Hurricane Ida, I don't know if I'm ever not going to be extremely concerned.
Right.
It's hard to forget what that felt like for the week or 10 days we were all out, and we thought it was going to be 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I mean, I don't know how our great-grandparents lived here. I think I'm concerned every year. I mean, it feels like a sauna outside. Yeah. I'm worried it's going to be even worse. And what I worry about is that the rest of the country is going to just stop responding, because we just have so many disasters in the Gulf Coast, it seems. And I'm just worried someday we're going to call and ask them for help, and they might not respond.
Yeah. I'm sure you're aware, Together New Orleans, which I'm a part of, and, they, as a result of Hurricane Ida, we have the Lighthouse projects, and money, philanthropy has come, and I know the city has been partnering at some level. But would you consider that in terms of state legislation, maybe funding for more lighthouses, so that in the event of, when power is out, that truly every block and maybe in rural areas, there also there'd be places for people to go, because everybody still can't leave. and everybody can't afford a generator.
Right.
Or landlords, I mean, I'll put generators on rental property also.
I was jumping around in friends' houses.
Yeah.
Those are great programs, and I think there's a couple of groups who've done them. I'm not going to say there weren't money requests. I didn't see money requests for that. Or rather, they didn't come through me. But I thought there maybe would have been just to set this up. I think there might be money coming in those because those are infrastructure issues. And I think Entergy, am I right, has started with some of the microgrids.
Yes. Okay. And Congressman Carter did, also did some assistance there. Yeah.
Those are important just to keep people charged and moving. But if we're out for so long, and you're right, most of our residents can't evacuate. I mean, they just can't go anywhere financially, or they have too much of a big family or something.
I know this isn't on the agenda, but given the conversation, and I know you well enough to know most of the issues that affect this community. You not only you versed in them, but that you worked on them before you became an elected official. Southern Louisiana, we fought so much against Mother Nature instead of living with it. Isn't it also an opportunity for us to kind of embrace our natural topography the way they do in Amsterdam and Holland, the way they do in parts of China, in Africa? We've made all these billion-dollar investments to fight it, where we could have made million-dollar investments to work with it. How do you see us moving forward? From coastal erosion to storm-proof roofing to living with water?
We are and we'll have to do all of the above more. So the coastal erosion and the hazard mitigation, which is the roofs and that sort of thing, I have done a lot with that. And there's ways that we can help with the coast to kind of keep some of that land, because the more land we have down there, the weaker the storms are when they come to us. This is not a popular thing to say, and if I lived down in home, I wouldn't, but we're going to have to start having some hard conversations with people who live in far-flung places, because we're going to need those resources to make sure our major metropolitan areas can survive. And so there's just a lot of areas. The Mississippi River diversion is a huge issue. We have to make some decisions on, are we going to keep doing this thing that's expensive, that saves a community of 5,000, or are we going to have to relocate them because we have 1 million people here? And you're right, those are conversations that are very, very hard, and they have to be sped up.
Wow. Next year session will be a regular general session.
Yes.
Give us a preview of some of the things you think you might be. Yeah, this is the breaking news section. Yeah.
Well, when I'm back there, all state officials have to be reelected this year. So when I'm back there, I do hope to do a lot more for the city. I work probably the most with the city in terms of legislation.
Is we ever going to be free in all these parishes, Mandie Landry?
Well, maybe if your buddy Jeff is up there, you can convince him.
Yeah, right.
Maybe he'll give us a little space.
We're going to have to get Jesus in there.
I'm taking you up there.
Okay.
You're coming. We're going to have like a whole, you're going to be the ambassador.
I'll be there with you.
You're going to be the ambassador, yeah. We need to get some more freedoms for the city. We need them to understand that we need better infrastructure for all the people who come here and spend money.
Less preemption, is that what?
Oh, God, the preemption. Well, that's what it is. Preemption for people who don't know. They wonder, well, why doesn't New Orleans have $15 minimum wage like all these other cities? Because the state says we can't. We would do all these things. We would have worker protections.
I was part of a council that passed the minimum wage law, and the courts, all the way to the appellate court, shot us down.
Yeah, paid family leave. There's so many things we can't do. So there's a lot of that's going to be done. And I think there's going to be a lot of Republican infighting because they have all the power. Yeah. And that's going to be our moment to sneak through. And they're really going to, the Republicans up there are going to need Democrats to pass things because they're going to be fighting. I'm moving my hands as I'm talking. They're going to be fighting each other. So I really think they're going to need us to align with them at times because they're fighting each other.
Wow. Yeah, that's just fighting and winning are two different things. And let's hope out there fighting, Orleans Parish can win, because I know you've done a really good job at carving out those issues that affect us and trying to get other state legislators to say, hey, look, if y'all don't like it for y'all districts, we like it for ours. Yeah. And I think those battles are going to continue, Brad.
They've been there since the beginning, and we've been the most successful, my predecessor and other predecessors, at getting some money flowing. But those are multi-year conversations.
Well, Ron Spatial says you're one of the best legislators we've ever had, and I know that's someone who's been involved in community politics for a long time. So continue to fight. How can people reach out to you?
You can Google my name, Mandie Landry, and my state page will come up, and my my personal, campaign page. I'm really easy to find. I respond to all social media messages, or if you want to call my I'm not going to list it here, you'll forget, but if you look on my .gov, it'll list all my information. And I respond to any constituents or anyone in New Orleans.
You're going to come back and continue to partner and
Obviously.
update us here at
Anytime you want.
WBOK?
All right. Hey, great morning.
It really is.
It's always
From
fun.
Jackie Harris
porch.
to Mandie Landry.
That's
Not
right.
the back porch or the side porch.
That's right, with the front porch. That's right. Later today, the G-Man with Reality Check, and then 4 o'clock, the Sports Report.
Yeah, on WBOK 12:30 a.m.
The station you're going to listen to all day long.
All day long, baby.
The Black Media Coalition that actor Wendell Pierce has put together with others